The Knicks postgame show is presented by Tri-State Audi. Visit your Tri-State area Audi dealer today. Knicks and the Heat game 4. Jimmy Butler from Miami tonight on the outside for 3, had 26 points. Knicks hung in there most of the night. Julius Randle had 20 points and 9 rebounds before fouling out with about 3 minutes to go. Caleb Martin, key dunk here, extending the Heat lead up to 8 late in the game. Miami wins 109-101. They lead the series 3-1. The Knicks season is on the brink. Great to have you with us from our Delta MSG studios. Bill Pito along with Monica McNutt, Alan Hahn, and Wally Zerbiak. Heat, guys, their biggest lead all night was 11. The Knicks led by 1 only twice. So the entire game, Wally, basically played between the Heat up 8 or 9, 5 or 6, and the Knicks trying to break through, and they just never could break through.
Yeah, they couldn't. And offensively, they had some spurts where they played very well on that offensive end of the floor. They shot the ball a little bit better from the three-point line. But this Miami Heat team, the contributions that they're getting all the way up and down their roster, they're playing 10 guys. They're getting productive minutes from those guys. And as a result, they looked fresher down the stretch of that game. They looked quicker to those loose balls, those loose rebounds, and that happens. You know, Obi Toppin didn't get in the second half. Deuce McBride got in later in the second half. So Brunson and Randle had to just go pretty much the whole entire second half. And it didn't really show offensively for them, but it wears on them mentally and physically when you have to be quick and sharp when those loose balls comes off that rim. And that's where the game was lost. That offensive rebounding in the fourth quarter, because Miami started to miss. I mean, they were on fire in the third, but they started to miss. Knicks could not secure those long rebounds.
They were 0 for 9 from 3 in the fourth quarter, but it didn't matter because they got 7 offensive rebounds in that fourth quarter, and that was all those extra possessions that were keeping the Knicks at bay. It felt like they were different parts of this game. Every time the Knicks thought they might have a chance and make a little push, the Heat did something, whether it was that end, the offensive rebounding, or whether it was knocking down a 3 right after you thought you had momentum. There was always something the Heat felt like they were just, no matter what, a step ahead. And for most of the series, that's really what it's been.
Yeah, 22 points off of turnovers for the Heat, off of Knicks turnovers, 17 of those. That certainly doesn't help, especially when you're trying to find a way to control the lead, I guess you would say, over the course of the game. They just had so many guys. Like, this is not a stat in the box score, but I wish we could monitor how many pump fakes we saw just throughout the course of the game in terms of a team that has confidence to let those shots fly, a la Max Strus, who finishes 4 of 10 from the three-point line for 16 tonight, versus a team that was a little bit hesitant about what they were trying to get offensively. And it just really showed in the rhythm and the flow and the confidence overall in this ballgame.
Manuel quickly didn't play, hurt his ankle in game 3, and the Knicks bench, which has been such a strength all year, was outscored 32-10. Quentin Grimes on his birthday got the start. Josh Hart off the bench, but even that change did not help as the Knicks were dominated off the bench. And Al, in the third quarter, really typical of the entire night. Every time the Knicks seemed like they were about to break through, Miami had an answer.
Yeah, here's an example of what I was talking about when it comes to the Knicks feeling like they have a chance to make a push. So they cut it to 2 on an R.J. Barrett 3, and then right away the next possession, what happens? A kick out, and Kevin Love knocks down a 3. So again, just pushes you away, arm's length. The Knicks had it at 3, 72-69 after a Randle dunk. So what do? Next possession, that's Max Strus knocking down a 3-point shot. Again, pushing you away, arm's length. And then it's a 5-point game. The Knicks feel like we're still in it, right? Kyle Lowry pump fake and drills a 3. Arm's length. It just felt like the entire game, that's what was happening in that third quarter, where it felt like both teams were finally making shots. The Knicks offense actually started going. They were making shots. It's like, okay, this is the go time now. Put pressure on them. While he's yelling at all of us to stay positive and stay in this thing. They can make a run, and every time it felt like they were making that run, those threes got knocked down, and you were pushed back once again.
But even still, the Knicks started that third quarter on fire. I mean, they came out at the start the third quarter, made 9 of their first 10 shots. The Heat could not stop them. But the fact that the Knicks, when they did start to get those stops, because you knew the Heat had to cool off at some time, and they could not secure those rebounds, that was a big part of why they lost that game. I mean, this is going to be a tough hurdle to climb at down 3-1. But you come back to your home building, you have to hope the Heat don't play this well. To me, the Heat are just playing at such a high level. Everyone that gets in that game, Caleb Martin, playing his best basketball of the season. Max Strus, best basketball of the season. Kyle Lowry, best basketball of the season. You're getting some from Duncan Robinson. I mean, it's just this team is coming at you, and then you have Bam and Jimmy playing the way they always play.
Yeah.
That's the difference in this series. You have to hope that you can change the momentum of this series in New York. Try to find someone else that can help you off your bench and step up, give you a little bit of life, a little bit of energy, and just take one possession, one game at a time.
Well, speaking of the bench, we know the Quickly injury is something that we'll have to monitor closely to see if he can get back on the floor. I thought at points, to your point, you saw R.J. Barrett pushing the ball, attacking the rim a little bit. He finishes the night with 24 points. But just overall, it's so much on Josh, it feels like, right? And I just think there's a little bit of an ask as far as basketball IQ goes in the course of some of those runs. A jump stop here, a pump fake here, in a positive and aggressive sort of way, as opposed to what turns into a turnover or a foul against the Knicks. But you're right, Wally, it's not over until it's over. And so you take what you can from this performance. You hope that your best ball is yet to be played when you get back in front of your home crowd.
Just wonder about fatigue late. As you mentioned, Alan, 7 offensive rebounds for Miami. Miami in that fourth quarter scored only 19 points. I mean, the Knicks' D was good enough in terms of keeping the Heat off the scoreboard. They just couldn't get the ball back for possessions because of all the offensive rebounds.
Jalen Brunson played 44 minutes in this game.
Yeah, how many
You shot 2 more free throws, too.
How many did Randall play?
Randall played 39.
And he fouled out with 3 minutes to go.
But still,
I mean,
that's a lot of minutes.
Brunson went the whole second half on one ankle.
Yeah, I was saying, now the
whole
second
thing.
time an ankle.
By the way, let's
There's
just
no
point out-
Quickly, so there was no one there to take over the backup point guard duties.
Run the point guard, right?
Yeah.
That Deuce
McBride for a second, yeah.
Right, he played 4 minutes
Yeah.
there, and he got it at the end. But Jalen Brunson had 32 points and 11 assists. I mean, what a performance.
Gave you everything you got.
That he is giving you against the
And
defense.
getting
that
knocked
is-
to the floor every single time, it seems.
and willing to continue to take the punishment. And how about that reverse and that finish? The English off the glass and the three-point shot. He was 0 for 5 in the previous game. He was only 2 for 7, but he still was able to knock down 2 there. And it's just playmaking again. Look at the numbers. 32 points, 10 of 21, 11 assists. And understand that he is the focal point of everything they're doing defensively. They're trapping him, they're hitting him, they're punishing him, and he continues to attack because he knows he has to. What you're learning about Jalen Brunson is what we've kind of learned all season is what he is. And that is, this guy's a gamer, no doubt about it. You're going to get his best. But as well as you got R.J. Barrett giving you 20, you got Randall giving you 20, and amazingly for the Knicks this season, that's usually enough, wasn't enough.
Yeah, you have Gabe Vincent, too, dogging him 94
feet.
I mean, the guy can barely get the ball over half court playing 44 minutes and also doing a lot of scoring, also getting run through screens all over the place. Missing Emmanuel Quickly, you could really notice the difference because you don't have that other guy that can kind of take the pressure off Brunson, orchestrate the offense, run the second unit. That second unit with him out there and Barrett and Toppin and Hart and Hartenstein, that unit's been outstanding, but that unit hasn't been able to get together for minutes in these playoffs to really make an impact. So it's that Emmanuel Quickly injury also showed tonight.
Golly, how many ankle twists are we going to have to deal with? Like, knock on wood or something. Like, this is just RJ to start the game. Thankfully, he kept playing. Now we've seen this happen to Jalen twice in Miami in 2 separate games. And, of course, obviously the injury to Quick. And so there's really not a ton to say. Rebound better. Don't turn the basketball over. Sure, you close the margin. But we talked about getting to the free throw line. The Knicks shot 2 more free throws in that category. The thing that I watched in this ballgame is not necessarily quantifiable in the box score. It was just a team that was playing with confidence, that was growing possession by possession, that pretty much controlled momentum the entire ballgame.
When you look at the bench, remember the Heat are without Tyler Hero. They're without Victor Oladipo. They're playing guys, as you mentioned, some of these guys, a lot of them undrafted.
Well, I also think we got to let that go because a lot of these guys were a part of the run to the conference finals last year.
No
so there's
question.
experience. Yes, they were undrafted, but they are now certified NBA players. And
by the way, they
up.
picked up Kevin Love.
Yeah, that's a big
off
pickup.
waivers. Like, that's a nice little pickup.
Yeah.
And Cody Zeller, I mean, he'll go out there and he'll bang you all over the place. So
Phantom of the Opera.
He gives them some
Speaking of which.
meaningful minutes, and there you go on cue. Cody Zeller with that big basket. I mean, he's a live body. That down low, you got to deal with his energy and his effort and his rebounding ability. You know, Caleb Barton has been a real key in this series. He's an outstanding defender. He guards multiple positions. He's not known as a great outside shooter, but he's been making some very timely threes. You know, Duncan Robinson, I mean, he is as one-dimensional as an NBA player has ever been.
That's the only shot he made.
What about Lowry?
What
about Lowry?
Lowry's a champion.
Lowry has been awesome.
He's a champion.
If you're a Heat fan, He does. That play was huge, the drive to the basket and the dunk. Lowry gets every call, and he just knows
And
how
then
to
some.
trick the referees. It is flat-out trickery how he gets those calls. I mean, here Randall's coming, barreling down the lane, dunks on 3 people, and Lowry just goes and gets the call. I mean, that's what he does.
Legit.
You missed your calling. You got to go down to Hollywood.
He
Wally.
knocks 3 bowling pins over with him,
Legit.
pulling them all down, and they're all falling over.
He's
him.
the ultimate victim.
He
is
is.
the ultimate
Exactly.
victim. He is the guy walking on the sidewalk that sees an opportunity, falls down, and waits for somebody to come by.
I
to sue
hear
you.
something Jimmy said after the Bucks series sort of ringing in my ear about how badly he wants to win and how he understands for all of the accolades, the 56-point game that had the entire sports world clutching their pearls, whatever, he feels like he hasn't won anything. And I think you just feel that from him in the course of the playoffs. As soon as the clock strikes playoffs, you feel that from him. Then you look at this roster, as much as we holler undrafted, you also got 2 champs.
Yeah.
Kevin Love has won, Kyle Lowry has won, Jimmy's been far closer than anybody on this Knicks roster. And so I'm not going to say it's done. The Garden is a special place. We play the games for a reason. But you are going uphill at this point, and you're going to have to get it together. There is little room for error.
By the way, the Heat lost their first playing game.
Who cares?
Okay, I'm done. All right.
It doesn't make sense.
Roll your break. It's time to wrap up the segment.